Hello everyone, I am Oscar Gonzalez and we are going to be seeing the stressed and unstressed schwa sounds through the 5 stages of the communicative framework for pronunciation teaching. Grab your handouts and let's begin. Stage 1, Description and Analysis, begins with a description of the sounds. As you can see in the drawings, stressed schwa is an open sound, while unstressed schwa is a slightly open sound. Both of them, as you can see in the chart, are central. They are also lax, short, neutral, and monophone. To produce a stressed schwa sound, raise the center of the tone towards the point where the hard palate joins the vellum. Hold your mouth in a slightly open position and hold your lips in a neutrally open position. And to produce the unstressed schwa sound, raise the center of the tongue towards the point where the hard palate joins the vellum. Hold your mouth in a slightly closed then fully open position and hold your lips neutrally open. In the same page of the handout, we will find the hints to produce the sounds. To produce these two sounds, think of the natural sound produced when you punch your stomach softly. The stressed schwa requires emphasis, while the unstressed schwa does not. It is just a soft sound. Now let's take a look in page 3 of the orthographic relationship for the stressed schwa sound. Stressed schwa sound can be found in primary and secondary stressed syllable, and it can be represented in English by the following letters and the following positions. With letter U, it can be found in initial position in words like under, up, and utter. In medial position, it can be found in words like cub, hug, and truck. We cannot find this sound in final position. Some exceptions to this relationship would be words like ruth, put, pull, push, butcher, and bush. With letter O in initial position, we can find it in words like onion, other, and oven. With letter O in medial position, we can find it in words like among, frontier, and some. With letters O and U, we cannot find it in initial and final position, but we can find it in the medial position in words like couple, double, and touch. Some uncommon spellings in which we can find this sound would be letters O, double O, O, as in the words blood and flood, and the letters O and E as in does and doesn't. Now let's see in page 4 the orthographic relationship for the unstressed schwa sound. Unstressed schwa sound can be represented in English by any unstressed vowel sound and sometimes even consonant sequences. This is most common sound in English, and as such there is no typical spelling that represents it. It can occur more than once in a single word, and it can be found in any position. Some examples with letter A would be words like about, absorb, and across. You can find more examples like this in your handout. Examples with letter E include words like behind, affordable, and matter. And you can find a lot more in your handout. Examples with letter I include words like council, policy, and similar. Once again, there are more examples in your handout. With letter O, some examples are doctor, anchor, information. You can find more in your handout. Examples with letter U include words such as upon, difficult, and sport. You can find more in your handout. Unstressed schwa can also occur in unstressed digraphs like E and O as in the word pigeon, O and U as in the word obvious, I, O, and U as in the word delicious, and A and I as in the word certain. Like I said before, it can occur more than once in one single word and be represented by different letters. Examples of these would be the words edible, producer, acceptable, and logical. In page 5 of your handouts, you can find common suffixes that are unstressed and always contain the unstressed schwa sound. Feel free to check them out. Now let's see in page 5 the common problems for Spanish speakers to produce these sounds. Since these two sounds do not exist in Spanish, it can be difficult for Spanish speakers to become acquainted with the production of these vowels. Stressed schwa sound can be difficult for Spanish speakers because this sound is central, and Spanish does not possess a central vowel sound. Spanish speakers tend to confuse this sound with others like a, o, e, and e. Remember that stressed schwa sound is short. It is central, and it is produced raising the center of the tongue towards the point where the hard palate joins the vowel. Let's compare some Spanish words to some English words. Compare Spanish son with English sun. Spanish paca with English puck. Spanish tundra with English tundra. Spanish beca with English buck. In the case of unstressed schwa, as its name indicates, it is short and unstressed. It is also the most common English sound, so it can be found in many instances. Spanish speakers tend to put more effort than needed into its production whilst tensing the articulator muscles, producing thereby different vowel sounds, and losing the weak stress levels in English stress patterns. Spanish speakers usually produce sounds like e, and a instead of the unstressed schwa sound. Remember that unstressed schwa is always unstressed. It is always weak, so just relax and produce a weak sound. Let's compare Spanish banana with English banana, Spanish vocal and English vocal, Spanish tender and English tender. Now let's practice a little of the orthography with an exercise in the same page, found in the same page in the handout, before moving on. For the following words, all you have to do is circle the syllable containing the unstressed schwa sound, underline the syllables containing the stressed schwa sound, and place a check mark in the sound column that corresponds to the sound that we found in every word. For example, the first word is the word funnel, and we can find the unstressed schwa in the last syllable, so we can circle that one, and we can find the stressed schwa in the first syllable, so we underline that one, and we place a check mark in both columns. Now, after studying these two sounds, let's have a brief analysis before we move on to the next stage. Because of the nature of these two sounds, we cannot compare them between them. In the case of the unstressed schwa, it is always weak, it is always unstressed. So it can only be compared to sounds with the same level of stress, which is weak. The closest sound to this one would be the reduced E sound in unstressed syllables, always in unstressed syllables. And even this sound can sometimes be reduced to an unstressed schwa. Now let's compare the words allude and elude, and compare the different pronunciations of the word behind and behind. Now, as for the stressed schwa sound, it can be compared to other sounds with the same nature, which are sounds with the same level of stress. Remember, primary and secondary stressed syllables. This sound can be compared to a variety of vowel sounds, which make possible the occurrence of a wide number of minimal pairs. Let's see some examples. We can compare the word buck with the words back, beck, balk, book, and beak. And these are just some examples. You can see more examples in your handout. Now, due to the different nature of these two sounds, we can see that unstressed schwa is always unstressed. It is always weak, and I cannot emphasize this more. Unstressed schwa is always weak, and stressed schwa is always stressed. So you can find stressed schwa in primary and secondary stressed syllables, and unstressed schwa always in unstressed or weak syllables. Now, moving on to the second stage, listening discrimination, let's have some input. We will do some minimal pair drills and isolation exercises now. Let's go to page 8 and do the first exercise for stressed schwa sound, which is an identification task. What you have to do is listen carefully to the words I am going to say. Remember that stressed schwa can be compared to a variety of sounds with the same nature. Place a check mark in column 1 if it contains the stressed schwa sound, and place a check mark in column 2 if it does not contain the stressed schwa sound. For example, the first word is the word cut. So we place a check mark in column 1 because it contains the stressed schwa sound. Cut. In page 11 of the handout, we can find an identification task exercise for the unstressed schwa sound. Feel free to check it out. Now let's do the discrimination task exercise in page 11 for unstressed schwa sound. Listen carefully to the words I am going to say and circle the letter S if both words are pronounced with unstressed schwa sound, or circle the letter D if both words are different. For example, the first two words are the words pigeon and pigeon. Pigeon and pigeon. These two words are different. Pigeon and pigeon. So you circle the letter D. In page 8, you can find a similar discrimination task exercise for the stressed schwa sound. Feel free to check it out. Let's go back to page 8 to the isolation task exercise for the stressed schwa sound. Listen carefully the list of 4 words that I am going to pronounce. 3 of them contain the target sound stressed schwa, and 1 of them does not. Place a check mark in the corresponding column where the word with the different sound is. For example, the first list of 4 words is cop, cop, cap, and cop. Cop, cop, cap, and cop. As you can hear, the word with the different sound is in letter C. Cop, cop, cap, and cop. You can find an isolation task exercise for unstressed schwa in page 11. Check it out. Now the sorting task exercise for the unstressed schwa sound is in page 12. Let's see. Listen carefully to the words I am going to say and write the word containing the unstressed schwa in column 1, or write the word in column 2 if it does not contain the unstressed schwa sound. For example, the first word is the word except. Except. So we write it in column 2 because it does not contain the unstressed schwa sound. Now let's go back to page 9 to do the picture task exercise for the stressed schwa sound. Listen carefully to the words I am going to say and place a check mark on the picture that I pronounce. For example, the first word is the word caught. Caught. So I place the check mark on the picture caught. You can find a similar picture task exercise for the unstressed schwa sound in page 12. Please go and check it out. Let's do minimal pair drills in context now. Let's go to page 13, where we can find the minimal pair sentence drill or syntagmatic drills for the unstressed schwa sound. Listen carefully to the sentences I am going to say and underline the word pronounced from the pair of words below. For example, the first sentence is, we should do this addition today. We should do this addition today. We should do this addition today. So we underline the word addition. You can find a minimal pair sentence task or syntagmatic drill for the stressed schwa sound back in page 11. Please go and check it out. You can find the minimal pair sentence task or syntagmatic drill for the stressed schwa sound back in page 10. Please go and check it out once you have finished with this one. Now let's do contextualize minimal pairs. Listen carefully to the sentences I am going to say and place a check mark next to the correct response. For example, the first sentence is, we followed the truck all along. We followed the truck all along. So we place a check mark next to the correct response, which in this case is, the driver was kind enough to guide us. You can find the contextualized minimal pairs exercise in page 13 for the unstressed schwa sound. Please go and check it out once you have finished with this one. Now let's move on to the third stage, control, practice and feedback. Let's have some output. Repeat after me the following words. Take into account that the column at right does not contain the target sound. Compare the production of these two words. Uncle, ankle. Uncle, ankle, fun, fan, fun, fan, hunk, hank, hunk, hank, buck, bank, buck, bank, lock, 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 log, dumb, dim, dumb, dim, cop, cat, cop, cat. You can find a lot more words to practice in your handout. Please practice. Now for unstressed schwa sound, these are the words. Bazaar, bizarre, bazaar, bizarre. Lewd, elude, elude, elude. Omit, emit, omit, emit. Salad, 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 salad. Amateur, 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 amateur. Anima, enemy, anima, enemy. Anna, Annie, Anna, Annie. Bella, belly, Bella, belly. Remember, you can find a lot more words to practice in your handout. Please practice them before going to the next stage. Now for oral readings in context, let's do some syntagmatic drills. From this point on, find a partner that you can work with until the end of the lesson. Practice reading out loud the following sentences containing minimal pairs. Both words are in blue. Compare the word with the target sound with the words in italics. Both of you have to read the sentence before moving on to the next one. Remember, the unstressed schwa is identified by simple underlining and stressed schwa is identified by double underlining. For example, the first sentence is a sentence, I haven't had any luck with the log I bought. I haven't had any luck with the log I bought. Compare the word with the target sound with the word in italics. One of them is lock and the other one is log. Now in your handout, you can find 2 extra activities for this stage before moving on to the next one. Now for stage 4, guided practice and feedback, we have a game, the hangman. You and your partner are going to take turns to try to guess letters that fit in the word. If the letter does not fit, a body part will be drawn in the gallows, starting with the head. Each body part represents 1 mistake, so there are 6 mistakes in total for each word. If the hangman is drawn before anyone guesses the word will be given out, and the place where the target sounds are will be pointed out. Once someone completes the word, they have to say it out loud and point out the place where the target sounds are. If the word is correct and the sounds are correctly spotted, that partner gets a point. If not, the other partner gets the opportunity to say the word out loud and point out where the target sounds are, and that partner gets the point. At the end, the partner with more points will win. For example, the first word is the word butter. B-U-T-T-E-R. Butter. And the target sounds are the unstressed schwa is in the letter U, and the unstressed schwa is in the letter E. For this stage, you can also find 2 extra activities in your handout, which you can practice with your partner before going on to the next stage. Now for the last stage, stage 5, communicative practice, we have a role play. The situation for the role play is the following. You and your partner are in the distant future. You are a planet zoo, a planet that serves to the purpose of keeping all life form from this universe safe, while offering the same as any other zoo. The new attraction event offers to see animals from our planet Earth, so you and your partner did your best and bought tickets to the premiere. Talk about what the experience of visiting a zoo the size of a planet is like so far. Student A. You somehow managed to convince your friend to go to a distant planet to have the greatest zoo adventure. After all it took to bring them here, keep talking to them about the things you have done and that are yet to do, so they have fun and see what a great idea this was. Student B. Your partner convinced you to go visit the distant planet zoo to distract you from your work and many other preoccupations. You weren't very enthusiastic at first, but they managed to change your mind and convince you. You are at very least glad they tried, and you are not having a bad time after all. You want to convince them that it was a good idea so you can finally go back home and rest. Your interactions should ideally last at least 5 minutes, and each of you has to use at least 8 of the words below. Those were the 5 stages of the communicative framework for pronunciation teaching regarding the sounds stressed schwa and unstressed schwa, and Thank you very much for watching. Have the greatest day of them all.